Good morning, biology students. Today we're going to go over the next group of TSWs. This is going to be TSW 4 and 5, structure and functions of organs and organ systems. Okay, so you guys are going to be doing a little independent research starting today on how the organ systems are structured and how that relates to their function, as well as an organ, how an organ is structured and how that relates to its function. Okay. Now, if you were in my life science class 2 years ago, if you were here, this should sound really familiar because this is one of the main things that we emphasized in that class. Okay. So, real quick, the page here, in the book, this is Unit 1, Lesson 2, Exploration 1. Okay, so that corresponds in the book page numbers. I'll have to look. I'll tell you in a minute. Okay, anyway, so an organ system is two or more organs that work together to perform a bodily function. Okay, now organ systems interact to help organisms maintain an internal stability or homeostasis. This is the point. Okay, so human body systems are labeled in this chart here. You have several systems here to choose from. Okay, and so for instance, the circulatory system, that's the heart, the blood vessels, the blood lymph nodes, and lymphatic vessels. And the primary function is to transport oxygen, nutrients, hormones, waste, helps regulate body temperature, collects fluids lost from blood vessels, and returns it to the circulatory system. Okay, so that's pretty much what the circulatory system does. And there are, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 organ systems here that you should have a working knowledge of. Okay, now the assignment that you're going to be doing today is you're going to be picking one of these organ systems. Each student should pick a different one. Okay, so it's first come, first serve. When you go to the Schoology assignment, there's comments at the bottom. That's where you are going to go and claim your particular organ system. Okay, and so you're going to be trying to analyze and doing a little independent research of how the organ system is structured and how that relates to its function. Okay, and so for instance, the heart, all right, is a part of the circulatory system. So the circulatory system is a huge network of blood vessels that is designed to transport all these things that it's needed to do. So if you're the person who picks circulatory system, you can elaborate on that in more detail. Okay, so every student should pick something different. Okay, so moving right along. Okay, so several body systems interact with the circulatory system in order to maintain homeostasis. This is another very important point here. All these organ systems work together to keep you alive and functioning. If one of your organ systems does not work properly, this can have detrimental effects on other organ systems. Okay, and it can lead to the eventual death, so to speak. Okay, so for instance, if you have a person has liver cancer and their liver stops working properly, this is going to affect several other systems in the body, and the actual cause of death of that person could be actually something not related to the liver. Okay, because everything is interconnected. All right, so organs, we know organs, everybody should know examples of organs. And up here in the side here, they list several organs here. Okay, now an organ system can carry out complex functions because they are made up of organs that work together in the system. So the technical definition of an organ is a group of tissue that carry out specialized function in the body. Okay, now there are 4 types of tissue that we've learned in the past, right? They are your epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscle tissue, and nervous tissue. Okay, so in the human body, all organs are made up of these 4 types of tissue. If it's not the 4 types of tissue, then it's not technically an organ. Okay, so let me go back up here. So in the digestive system, you know most of these already, right? The mouth, the esophagus, the stomach, the pancreas, the small intestine, whatever. Okay, so in the second part of your research, you're going to, in the organ system that you chose, okay, you're going to choose an organ in that system in which you are going to research and analyze. Okay, so for instance, if you wanted to let's say research the esophagus, okay, and so you would say, what is the structure of the esophagus? So the structure of the esophagus, it's a layer of very thin, flexible, smooth muscle, right? And you describe the process of peristalsis, where that's the swallowing of the food. And you would give me an in-depth explanation of how the esophagus is structured and how that relates to what its job is. So the job of the esophagus is to move food from the back of the mouth, throat area, to the stomach. Okay, so that's its job. How is its structure related to its job? Okay, that's the assignment that you guys are working on today. All right, and so a little bit more about tissues, right? So we know that if certain layers or certain parts of the tissue are damaged, it can affect the whole particular organ. Okay, like the epithelial tissue, for instance, that's the lining of the stomach. This is really important because it provides protection against the hydrochloric acid that is in the stomach. So therefore, if something were to happen to this epithelial tissue, it could cause what's called an ulcer, right? In which that would be one area of where the acid interacts with the stomach and causes it to be damaged. Okay, so read this section here about tissues very carefully. It's really important. The last part here is about cell differentiation. This is really important because we all start out as a single individual cell, right? And then as we grow and develop, we turn into trillions and trillions of cells. The process from going to one cell to a trillion cells is basically the process of differentiation. All right, we're going to spend a whole entire unit, well, not a whole unit, but a large portion of a unit over this one particular concept here. So we're not going to go over it in detail now. We're going to save that for later. But the point you need to understand here now is we start out as a cell, and over time, each individual cell can turn into a particular type of cell. So this particular cell can turn into the epithelial cells of the trachea, or it has the ability to turn into muscle cells, or a neuron, or a sperm cell, or a red blood cell. Okay, and so these cells, you might have heard of these cells before. They have a name. If you know the name, put it in the comment area of today's activity. Okay, so that's pretty much what we need to focus on today. Okay, let me know if you have any particular questions in today's meeting, and we can address that then.